Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Serena.
I'm James.
And today we are talking about twin flames Q&A. We're answering all of your questions. Watch this video.
Oh shit.
All right, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I'm very excited because I have a special guest with me. It's been a long time since we talked about doing we've got another special guest. It's been a long time since we talked about doing a video together. So thank you guys for asking for that. Thank you guys for the support and all the comments saying, when are we going to meet your twin? When are you going to meet your twin? Because he's finally here.
Finally here.
And yeah, we're just really excited. So if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for commenting, sharing these videos. It really helps our channel a lot. And if you're new here, definitely subscribe, hit the like button, comment your questions or anything that you have below. And just keep in mind, we're here to support your journey. So if you need more help, if you're looking for help on relationships, twin flame journeys, or just spiritual awakening in general, you can go to the links below. It'll link to our websites, and there's opportunities where you can work with both me and James for whatever it is that you need.
So as of right now, once we launch our new website, we'll be offering a 20% off by using the promo code James20 for our new relationship pair program.
So when that course drops, if you go to the course and you put the promo code in James20, right now the course is not launched. So if you go to our website, what you do is you just put your email in and you'll get the notification when that course launches, and then you can get 20% off. So yeah, looking forward to that. But today we are answering questions. This is our Q&A video.
It is indeed.
And I think our most important thing for this video is that we're just as raw and open and honest as possible, right?
Yeah, kind of the way we live our lives.
Yeah, that we're open, we're honest, we're raw. We talk about what it is you guys want to talk about. And today, because this is our first Q&A, we're going to be doing these every Sunday, so you can hit the notification bell and know that when these come out, you can get real life twin flame notifications on what it is we're going through and the questions that you guys have asked us, and we've written them down over the past many months, so we have a long list of questions from you guys. But essentially today we're talking about when we first met, if we knew about twin flames, like what that looked like what our spiritual evolution had been like prior to meeting each other, and if we knew about twin flames or like anything like that.
My experience with a twin flame was, obviously this is something that I'd never really experienced before, because all my previous relationships were maybe more along the soul mate kind of line. But from the very first day that I first of all saw Serena, I was completely blown away. She was wearing these incredible tight leggings and completely blew me off my feet. And yeah, then I think it was that night, or was the night after, we started talking around the bonfire. We really get to know each other a little bit better, and then unfortunately before she left, because we were up in the Transkei, I was working as a surf instructor, we didn't get as much time to talk as we would like to, and she had to move on with her trip that she was busy with. But then not long after that, she found me on Instagram. She managed to stalk me down, sent me a message asking if I would like to get to know her better, and if I'd like to come up to Durban at that time to get to know each other a little bit better. And I said, unfortunately, I couldn't because I was busy working.
Which actually, so interestingly enough, it's funny because where my mindset was at that time, because interestingly enough, the fact that you said no, that you had like work obligations, actually made me feel really good, because of the fact that like, I knew that you took your work seriously and you were like grown up about that, and you weren't like so smitten with me that you would drop everything for me, because I think that's really important. Yeah. And I've been in relationships before that have been like that, where the person just drops everything and, you know, like all they have is you in their life, and that's really overwhelming and codependent and not really healthy. So actually the fact that you were like, I would really like to, but I can't because of these other obligations, actually to me said a lot about you as a person, and I actually really appreciated that.
And Dave would never have let me go. So yeah, then she decided to rent a car and come back to Coffee Bay to come spend 2 or 3 days with me. And in those 2-3 days, when we spoke a lot, we got to know each other on a much deeper level, and I completely fell head over heels for her, without even realizing kind of what actually happened. Yeah, it was quite crazy. I mean, it was literally within 2 days, I looked at you and said, I know this sounds really weird, but I love you.
Yeah.
And
I remember looking in your eyes in that moment, and I was like, I know he's literally going to tell me he loves me right now. And I felt the same way. Like, I remember my heart was just so open at that point that, like, you know, it was like I could literally feel the love just like oozing out of you, which like was not my experience before in any relationship. You know, I could never really feel that closely with somebody else. And so, like, I think in terms of like the whole twin flame thing, like, a lot of you guys know, so if you haven't already, watch this video, I'll link it here, because that tells more about my story and like my side of the story. And, you know, a lot of you guys know that I was in another relationship when I met James, so I already thought I was with my twin flame, you know? So like there was a dynamic there where I was like, you know, I didn't necessarily think he was my twin flame, like right from the get-go. But I do remember like looking in your eyes, and I do remember looking in your friend's eyes, that night at the bonfire, and being like, there's something about their eyes, like they must be light workers, like they must be part of my soul family, or like something like that, because I literally could just see like the kindness and gentleness like in your eyes, you know? So there was something really like powerful to me about that. And I think the fact also that you were closer to my age,
yeah,
you know, because my last partner was 11 years older than me. So there's a difference in like certain generations and how they look and their expressions. And I think especially the more light beings and the more star seeds and stuff like that are born on this planet, like from that perspective, like their eyes and their faces look different, and that's how yours is. It's like very genuine, very soft. Your eyes are very, very expressive. So there was something about that to me that said like right away, like, this is somebody, you know, this is somebody. I don't know who it is, but it's somebody you need to know. And like I remember writing in my journal the night, like I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity of being with you. And I remember the night that you went to bed early that night. And it was the night before that we were leaving and continuing on the rest of our trip. And he, like, I really wanted to be with him that night and hang out with him and get to know him more. But I, like, wasn't quick enough, and he went to sleep early. And I actually feel like you were, that night, were you a little bit, like, miffed that, like, I wasn't coming over to you or something? Or, like, because you seemed almost a little bit, like, moody or, like, down or something.
I think it might have just been, I mean, I had a long day at work that day, so I was quite tired. This is one of the reasons why I went to bed early. But I do recall being in my room thinking quite a lot about you.
Yeah.
I can't say that I was miffed or upset that you weren't there by me. I mean, I understood that point. You're in a different relationship, and I mean, we both want to get to know each other. But end of the day, the way that it all worked out, I think, worked out completely for the best, because it allowed us to really build our relationship and everything we wanted to from day one in the correct way, and not just kind of jump a bunch of steps and then suddenly trying to do something. So I think the way it worked out really allowed us to grow with one another and really understand each other before we actually came together.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely, because that night after you went to bed, I didn't want to stay up anymore. So I went to bed, and I remember writing in my notebook, like, all I want to do. And at this point, you guys, like, you have to realize, like, we had maybe had 1 or 2 conversations together. So you were still a perfect stranger.
Like maybe an hour at most.
Yeah, like we were still perfect strangers. And I was just writing in my journal, like, all I want to do is, like, be with James and, like, spend time with him and, like, get to know him and go up to his room right now. Like, that's all I could picture when I was in like my hostel bed, was like I wanted to be over in his room. So it was very interesting. But getting back to like the overall topic, obviously, as you said in the beginning, I did know about twin flames, but because I thought I was in like my quote unquote twin flame relationship, I didn't think that was going to be our dynamic. Until, so this is the funny thing, and this is why I truly believe like you only get the information you need when you need it, because the reason that I started to believe you were my twin was because when we separated, after those 2 or 3 days that we spent together, when I came back, and then we separated, and we literally had like 2 or 3 days where it was like just us together. Like my 2 other traveling companions were not there anymore. So
yeah, between me working as well.
Yeah, so it was just us. And like when I had to leave, that was actually like one of the most heartbreaking moments. Like I literally cried for 7 hours in the car driving back to Durban. Like it was so heartbreaking to me. Like I had never felt like that leaving another partner, even relationships of like 5 years. Like I didn't feel that way when I broke up with them, but I felt that way like when I was leaving you. I was so sad. And so that's what made me realize that this connection was something else, because I was like, if I could feel that way with spending 3 days with somebody and not feel that in previous relationships, like this has to be something special. And then that's when I started doing research and Googling, and then that's when I came across the idea of a false twin. I didn't even know a false twin was a thing. I like that never came up in all the research I did of thinking I was in my previous twin relationship, because I feel like I needed to think this last relationship was my twin relationship in order to take it as far as I did, right? Like I needed to believe there was a divine connection there in order to get me to you.
Well, that it ultimately led you to me.
Right. So
in the middle of South Africa, in the middle of nowhere in the Transkei.
Like, I mean, the degree of it is so crazy that it can't not be like divine in nature to me, So for me, I definitely knew about twins. I didn't necessarily think that that's what this was until I really started feeling all of the things that I was feeling, which I'd never experienced before. I've never said I love somebody after 2 days, and really felt it. Like I really felt it.
It wasn't just empty words. There was actually a lot of feeling and emotion behind it. There was a connection there that we didn't quite understand at that point.
Yeah.
And you came really later, like you said, after you left and carried on with your trip. I mean, I remember that day when you left as well. I was doing a beach day. Unfortunately, I had some really cool guests who obviously saw us together and saw us kind of starting to build where we were. And it was really nice to have them kind of there with us there for me during that process. Because, I mean, it was difficult for me afterwards as well. Because, I mean, I had to go start doing a full day at the beach and working, and you were busy leaving. So we didn't really have a lot of time in the morning either to really actually, like, really say our goodbyes the way we might have wanted to. But at the same time, I think that the way that it turned out, also same thing, helped ultimately in the end.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because it made us also then have to think a lot more. And I also remember going into my room that night as well and actually really thinking quite deeply about it after I finished up with work and all the rest. And it hit me quite hard. I mean, I started writing poetry after I met you as well, which I've never done in my life.
Yeah, that is interesting. So what did you think, like, in terms of, I don't know, like, did you think it was something special and different? Like, after I left, did you ever think we would see each other again? Because you did, I would say, like, you did the bulk of, like, the continuing the communication so that we didn't fall apart. Like, you helped me more through, like, that really dark time, like, that month or so in between me meeting you and then leaving the trip ultimately. Like, that for me, that time in my life was an incredibly dark time, and I really think without your love and support that you gave me during that time, like, I don't know if I would have been strong enough to leave. So, like, how did you feel during that time?
Well, I mean, during that time, I wasn't too sure if I was ever going to see you again. I mean, every bone in my body was hoping and praying that I was going to, and somehow it turned out to be that way. Some people might call it destiny. But yeah, I mean, for me, just from the way that we had met each other and those couple of days we spent together, we really got to know each other. And I mean, a lot of it was us kind of just sitting by the bonfire or sitting on the stairs in front of the kitchen, just kind of chatting away and just getting to really learn more about one another. So for me, that period of time after you had left and gone back on your trip before you kind of went home, I mean, like you said, we're chatting almost every single day. I mean, we're sending each other sometimes voice notes of up to 20 minutes, which then took about a day or two to reply back to one another because we always also went in and out of signal. But that connection that I felt with you, I mean, I still remember calling back home to one of my friends here in Plet and saying that you will not believe the kind of person that I've just met, and kind of explaining to them that even my previous relationship before that of almost 5 years, I mean, my previous partner, we were talking about getting married and all that kind of stuff and settling down. What I felt for my previous partner in 5 years was completely trumped by what I felt for you in the first day and a half that when you came back, when we actually met each other and started really talking and all the rest. I mean, it's something that I had personally never experienced in my life. It completely baffled me, and it still today baffles me completely. I still can't find the actual words to kind of describe the way that I felt during that period. It was kind of one of those indescribable moments where it's something you can't really put into words. It's a feeling that's so deep down that it's something you only really understand once you feel it.
Yeah. I think I remember you telling me too at a certain way, like, this was in the very beginning, like, so I remember feeling very much like I wanted to get to know you more because I knew there was a lot of depth to you that, like, you weren't showing on the surface, if that makes sense. And because I'm very empathic and I'm very high sensitive, like, I can sense that about a person, like, when I meet them, like, oh, you know, this is a good, like, surface level relationship, or like, oh, there's a lot of depth here. And I remember feeling that way with you, like, I just wanted to, like, dig in deeply to you. And I think
have since then.
and I did, even the first couple nights. I remember you saying, like, you know, like, you can ask me anything and I'll answer it honestly, like, I think is pretty much what you said. And I think you also said that, like, I opened you back up in a way that you hadn't been opened in a while.
Well, I mean, that was also a big thing from a previous relationship to when I met you, is for a lot of things in that area I had closed down quite a lot because I had been quite badly hurt in the previous one. That once I met you and I saw the way that you were open and completely honest about things and the way that you asked your questions and worded everything like you still do today, it allowed me the space to feel comfortable enough to be able to actually open myself up and tell you kind of what I'm thinking about, how I'm feeling, and be able to answer any questions you had truthfully. And if I couldn't put what I wanted to say into words, I quite literally just tell you that. And there was always that understanding that just because I couldn't word it, which I still have struggled with today, just because I can't word it doesn't mean that you don't understand it. And you can actually, because of your sensitivity and who you are, you're able to see much deeper than what the words actually say, which is, it's been a big help for me, and it's helped me grow massively since then. I mean, like we both said to each other from the start as well, we seem to be each other's biggest teachers in life with everything. We just happen to always bring up the right questions, or in certain situations the way that we deal with things just really makes us understand one another on a much deeper level, and also just understand life a little bit better as well.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think that's true too. I'm imagining it was me that first asked you if you knew about twin flames. Do you remember that, or when that happened? Like, I don't really have memory of being like, I'm certain that it's probably when I went back home to the States, because that's the point when I was really doing a lot more research on twin flames and false twins and karmics and all of that kind of stuff. But I don't really remember us having like a full-on, like, really deep conversation about it. But I know I did ask you, like, have you heard of this thing before?
I can't remember exactly when down the line it was, but we did have, I think, a couple conversations about it where you kind of just asked me what I knew about it and what I knew about kind of soulmates, and then you asked me the difference between the two, and I said I have no clue what the difference between the two is. We had a couple good conversations about it. The time span of when it happened, I'm not sure that you normally remember that better than I do. I remember things as they come into play when they're relevant to what we're chatting about. But we had a good couple of conversations about that just to really understand it. And I mean, the knowledge that you've given to me about the whole twin flame, the false twins, soulmates, and more of a different perspective into the spiritual world. You definitely opened my eyes up a lot. I mean, where I come from here in the Crags is a very small little town, small little beach town where, I don't know, you've just really opened my eyes up to a whole new world, and it's been a gift every day since then.
The unseen world.
Yeah, to understand things on a deeper level.
Yeah. So does it weird you out ever to think like we might be the same soul? Like, is that weird for you or no?
Weird is not the word that I'd use. I don't know what word I would use.
Yeah.
But I don't find that it's weird. I just find that through everything that's happening in the world, I mean, with all the ability to be able to travel just about anywhere, is bringing people a lot closer, and it's actually allowing us to find people that we actually genuinely connect with on a much deeper level, where previously in past years, I mean, how many people would travel from the US to South Africa to the middle of nowhere to backpackers and then end up meeting the person they're going to spend their life with? I mean, 15, 20 years ago, that would have
It's
been
actually
a
funny
joke.
because so many of my clients actually have almost a similar story that we do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's really funny. And they're like older ladies, so it is kind of funny. So either we attract them or there's more of them out there than we think there is.
This
But
is true as
usually
well.
it's not United States to South Africa. It's usually actually like UK ladies to South Africa.
Yeah, or European.
Yeah, something in Europe. So it doesn't weird you out.
Not in the slightest, no.
What do you think about it?
I think in a lot of ways that brings us much closer together.
Of course.
The fact that we do come from the same source as well, and we have got very much the same ideals and the same kind of perspective on life and the way we want to live life, and be more in touch with ourselves and with nature and with the people that we actually surround ourselves with, because that's very important to life itself.
Yeah, to the evolution of the earth and the ascension of humans, to live more in tune with nature and more, closely aligned with what's in our highest good is always going to be in what's highest good for Mother Earth too. So
I mean, you can see by the area we're in at the moment in the background of the video as well.
yeah, I said in my last video or two, like, you guys, if you look just straight back there, that's where our house is going to be. So very exciting stuff. We'll show you. We're going to start vlogging our progress on this place because we started clearing 2 weeks ago. So that's super exciting because the last video I made, we hadn't started clearing yet. So we started clearing and we're gonna start vlogging that process. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for those videos.
Yes.
And like we said, yeah, like if you have any questions, put them down below. If there's anything we weren't clear on or that you would like us to clarify, again, put it down below. We're happy to answer anything. I think what's really important to keep in mind here is one of the major things that we see with twin flames is a lot of times they either have like these big obstacles to overcome, right? Like big age gaps or living in two separate places or big cultural differences. And while we don't have a lot of like super cultural differences, like a little bit because of South Africa and the United States, but more so like I would say our spiritual differences, where you are very spiritual, you're very heart opened, you're very heart centered, which is what good spirituality is, I'll say. There are definitely spiritual people that don't live life that way, but I think that's the main thing, is to be able to say like, oh, we can come to the same conclusions at the end of the day, even if like showing our math, showing our work, we get there with two different ways, but we come to the same answer.
Destination is always the same.
Yeah.
It's just the way we get there from our different perspectives from life.
Yeah.
We just have different ways of going about certain things, which I think as well in a lot of ways it also helps us to really narrow down what we actually want and where we want things to go, because by taking our two different paths to come into one place, we can kind of get the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree completely. And that's why I think it's important for you to also be on this channel, is because there's tons of people out there. I always say, I think as ascension continues and the evolution of humanity continues, there's going to be more and more twin flames that want to experience that journey and the journey of union. But they're not all going to be spiritual people. Like, yes, the vast majority of them are going to be, because they're generally like older souls, but some people are going to be more science-based and more practical like you. And I think it's really important that you're subscribing now to the idea that we're twin flames, but also it doesn't change the fact that your viewpoint on things is a lot more like, I would say, real world or like 3D-ish, And I think that's a really important perspective, because there's probably a lot of people out there experiencing what you're experiencing, but there's not a lot of videos made from that perspective. It's always like really ultra spiritual stuff. So thank you guys for watching. Definitely subscribe, comment down below. If you need more help, you know where to find us. But share this video with someone you know or love, and just send us all the questions you have. We're going to be making these videos for the foreseeable future. Oh, and now at the very end, we get some shade.
It was just meant to be.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for
Thanks,
watching.
guys.
We'll see you next time. Big love.
Bye.
Serena.